Good morning, Dan and Amy. So I've got my Secret Service name.
Okay.
My dad helped me out.
Oh, Pops, how's Larry doing?
He's good. So here's
plans for Larry.
Here's the deal. One iron.
Oh.
And now the weather calls this to mind as well. We're taking Secret Service name suggestions all morning, particularly for Amy, because Ivanka has now received a Secret Service name,
So I should have Secret
Amy
Service
should have one.
protection.
So Lee Trevino famously said, in a storm, if you want to avoid getting hit by lightning, just hold up a one iron because not even God can hit a one iron. However,
Yes.
this guy can hit a one iron.
Do they even make one irons?
I carry a one iron, and anybody who's ever played golf with me knows I can stripe a one iron. So one iron is my Secret Service
Do you have a
name.
2 iron too in your bag?
No, I don't.
Just a 1 iron?
I have a 1, and then I go to a 4.
Okay.
Some long ball striker.
Yeah. Tearing it up out there in the course, are you?
Well, it's not so much on the scoring. It's more of a distance game for me.
You should bring your A game next time I play golf with you.
So all of you texters and callers and tweeters, one iron, I'm done. Focus on Amy for the rest of the show.
No, I'm done. I'm Sweeter Rican. I'm done.
I don't, and it's not good enough for me.
What?
I want to hear more. I'm willing to be persuaded there's a better Secret Service name for you. Now, we're going to be joined by Bill Roggio, who's a senior fellow and editor at Foundation for Defense of Democracy. He's the editor of their long war journal. But I wanted to get to this before we discuss the Chelsea bomber with him and the latest information on the Chelsea bomber and the father calling the FBI and the details about the mosque that he attended and so forth. Very interesting little video that Ami Horowitz did, who's a filmmaker, went to Minneapolis to interview Somalis that live in the Minneapolis area, big Somali population,
Huge.
right? And this against the backdrop, of course, of the stabbing attack in St. Cloud by a Somali who is in this country. And the question, first question, is it easy to be a Muslim in this country? Listen to some of the responses from, a handful of subjects that he interviewed.
This is the Cedar Riverside neighborhood of Minneapolis. It's known for the University of Minnesota, phenomenal ethnic food, and the export of American fighters to the terrorist groups ISIS and al-Shabaab. In fact, it's reported that dozens of young Muslims from this community have gone to fight for these organizations. So we hit the street to find out what is going on. Is it easy to be Muslim in America? Or is it hard?
It's easy Muslim.
It's easy to be Muslim in America. Nobody gives you problems.
No, it's no problem.
And you go to school here, obviously?
Yeah.
And the kids, are they good to you? Are they nice to you? Is it tough?
Oh yeah. It's not tough at all.
It's not tough at all.
No.
This is a free country. That's the beauty of it. So we love America. I mean, it's a great country. Freedom of speech, freedom of choice of your religion.
Right.
So we don't have any issues.
So that's encouraging.
That wasn't.
Then the next question that was put to some of the same subjects, okay, that's your perspective on America. Do you prefer, secular American law, or do you prefer Sharia law?
Uh-oh.
Do you feel more comfortable living under American law, or do you feel more comfortable living under Sharia law?
Sharia law.
I'm a Muslim. I prefer Sharia law. Sharia law, yes.
You prefer Sharia law over American law?
Of course, yeah. Of course, yeah.
And do you find most of your friends feel the same way?
Yeah, of course. If you're Muslim, yeah.
Sharia law, it says if you steal something, they cut off your hand. So basically, they can leave their stores doors open. Nobody's gonna steal anything because the Sharia is so tight. Usually, they don't do anything. The smallest things usually have big consequences.
He can make his daughter marry somebody.
Yeah, he can. He has the authority,
The authority to do that.
Yeah, to do that. Yeah.
So here, how young do you think it's okay?
15.
How do you feel when this whole controversy with the Prophet Muhammad and people depicting the Prophet in cartoons, how does the whole thing make you feel?
That really pisses me off, you know what I mean? Because they know it's a button to push.
That makes me angry. And it's just that everyone gets like the big freedom, and then they don't see that the freedom that they're getting is causing a problem. It's causing hatred for other people.
Would it be better if we made it illegal in America to make fun of the Prophet Muhammad?
Definitely, yeah.
Do you think we should make a law that makes it illegal to
That would be better, yeah.
So you get a
Wow.
sense of the divided opinion. On the one hand, it's easy to be Muslim in this country, and we don't have any problems. On the other hand, we want to impose our will. I mean, that's essentially what they're saying.
And they respect Sharia law more so than laws on the books that are here in America and Minnesota.
Now, it's just anecdotal. I mean, it's just a handful of interview subjects that Ami Horowitz spoke to. But I think it's still insightful. I think it's still an important part of the conversation. And joining the conversation now, as promised, Bill Roggio, Senior Fellow at Foundation for Defense of Democracies, editor of the Long War Journal. Bill, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Hey, Bill. Bill. Do we have Bill Roggio?
Says we have him on the board. Bill, can you hear us?
Okay. All right. We'll effort Bill again. So those were two of the Sharia law bites, and then now switching to the Chelsea bomber, we understand a couple of things that we've learned over the last 24 hours, including that his father called the FBI in 2014.
Yeah, he sure did, and he spoke with reporters yesterday about what led to that phone call, and why he was scared of his son and called his son a terrorist.
Now he say he's a terrorist. I say, okay.
Why did you call the FBI 2 years ago?
Because
What happened?
He doing bad.
You're doing bad. What did he do bad?
He stopped my son. He hit my wife, and I put him in the jail 2 years ago.
So the FBI interviewed Rahami's father, and because he made a phone call that thought his son was a terrorist or a gang member, and they interviewed him. And during the interview, he kind of walked it back. And the police and the FBI, I should say, never interviewed Rahami himself. They never interviewed the son because they thought it was a domestic dispute.
And this is not the first time that a terrorist has slipped through the cracks over at FBI. And so it calls the question, what exactly is going on at the FBI that is or is not, that should or should not be going on, I should say. And for more on that, I think we've got Bill Roggio, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and editor of the Long War Journal. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, and good morning, Dan and Amy.
So what about that? What about, when a father contacts the FBI saying, I think I have a terrorist problem with my son, and the FBI apparently doesn't pursue it at all?
Yeah, I believe this happened with the bomber in the Detroit bomb, 2009 bomber on the airline. The bomb actually didn't detonate due to a fusing problem. It was executed by Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. The father of Abdul Rahman had called the authorities, and nothing was done. So this is certainly not the first time. And then, I really think there is a disconnect. There's a very real problem when information like this is teed up to law enforcement agencies and nothing happens. Same thing, the two Boston Marathon bombers. The one brother was identified by the Russian intelligence as being a potential terrorist, and the guy had video on his webpage of a jihadist leader in Chechnya, and yet he was still granted citizenship. And I have
10 times over the
major issues with the surveillance program. We can't process information and act on information that is easily teed up. Why should they be monitored?
Well, 10 times, right? 10 times in just the last 2 years in Virginia, in Minnesota, in Texas, in New York, 10 times. I mean, this is more than kind of, hey, look, we've got 1,000 investigations in 50 states, and so we can't be everywhere at all times. And to dismiss that call that you just heard as well, that's just a domestic issue, and have somebody with the sophistication of an FBI agent not look below the surface, say, well, it's a domestic issue that's predicated on what? That's really distressing.
No, again, we're going off of the information from the father, so it is difficult to assess whether that's accurate or not. And the family did have a lot of problems with the local community due to the operation of the restaurant. However, I would say if that is true, if what he is saying is true, it's a major problem. Everything should be taken seriously, particularly since the son, the suspect had a brother that went to Afghanistan, that fled the law enforcement to Afghanistan, is currently living in Pakistan, and there's apparently record of his travel to the country. So that should be a humongous red flag when something is mentioned in the context of jihadism and then you have travel overseas, maybe you should take a closer look.
Yeah, and he wasn't even on the the watch list, which is very disconcerting for me. But Rahami's wife was picked up yesterday in Dubai. His mom, they don't know where she is. Do you think either of these women played a part in this?
Without further information, it is extremely difficult to know, and I hate to cast such a wide net. But one thing we do know is that family phones were used in the detonators for the bombs that were detonated in New York and New Jersey. Now, of course, he could be picking them up as they're being discarded, or perhaps they're being given to him by family members who knew. We don't know, but it certainly raises a lot of questions.
I want to get your take on President Obama's address to the UN yesterday, talking about the course correction that's needed for global integration. That was the theme of his speech. And in addition to decrying crude populism, which was rather ironic coming from a crude populist, he said that a nation ringed by walls only imprisons itself in the 21st century. How did you react to that, and what takeaway from that statement did you gather?
And I'd also argue that the inverse is true. A nation that lets just anyone in without actually checking who they are and whether they could integrate into this American society is also doomed. I think, I don't like Donald Trump's presentation or on immigration. I think it alienates large segments of the American population. But he is correct in some aspects that, are basically what has become somewhat of an open immigration, is by default going to let some people in that are a threat to this country. And, look, as the interviews that you showed, the American, public is being shielded from the fact that there are some real problems within, not with the entirety of the Muslim community, but within the Muslim community, of individuals who do not want to integrate into society, who view Sharia law as being paramount to the U.S. Constitution. That type of thing is, that's just and from that subset of Muslims.
Editor Guy Benson, Dan Proft, Amy J.
Northbound Veterans Memorial, 355. It's Jan from I-55 most of the way to St. Charles. The Eden's 40 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose. The Kennedy, an hour and 15 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. The Ike, an hour and 15 minutes. Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes. 350.